Good morning, community. How are you? Janine Michael here, transformational speaker, your wealth guide and catalyst. And it's raining. I did not know it was going to rain. So I hopped out here anyway. Good morning, good morning to the West Coast. Some of us have rain. I don't know if all of us do. And how are you on the East Coast? Do you guys have rain or snow or just cold? I almost think that when we get too hot on the planet and we get to running into different kind of scenarios and more fear spins around the planet, all of a sudden it rains to calm us down or cool us down. So how are you? East Coast, how are you? So I hopped on Facebook for a moment. I was going back and forth with a friend of mine, really another business owner, who was saying, we should just do what we want, let people wear masks if they want to. It's no big deal. And I was saying to her, okay, I understand that, but what do we do in like 2 short months before we know it? This whatever we used to call a summer will come and go, and we have to get our students in school. And we can't get parents back to work until we're sure about the students. So I didn't get back to her about the response. But clearly, because of the government and because of the person in charge, there's so much miscommunication that's going on right now that it will probably be deadly for some because they really won't know what the heck to do. Wear your mask, don't wear the mask. I went back on there. People were like, well, the mask doesn't do this, it doesn't do that. And they were just talking about regular masks. I'm like, okay, but are you guys talking about the N95? Are you talking about the next level up when it comes to masks? Or what are you talking about? So at this point, there's a sense of tired of it all, tired of the miscommunication and the confusion more than anything else, and tired of it not seeming like we're moving forward toward a solution for ourselves. So what's your mindset? It's Monday. What is the mindset that you set for yourself, for your family, for your life, for your living, for your sanity, for your happiness and wholeness on Monday that's going to carry you all week long? What's your mindset? Are you hopeful? Are you strong enough to stand in your faith and make decisions just based on the information we know? I mean, okay, they're going on and on about the mask, but what does it hurt to wear a mask? Even if you say, it doesn't stop this, it doesn't stop that, what does it hurt to wear a mask? If it's not going to hurt you, if it's not going to kill you, if it's not going to rob you, then why don't you just put on the mask? Hi, Tamika. But ultimately, we each are going to have to decide. We're each going to have to decide what we can garner from all the mixed communication, what is going to be best for ourselves and for our family, and ultimately for our neighbors and for our country. Because what we do now does impact those neighbors around next door to us and in our entire country. It always did, but we may not have ever thought about it that way. So what's your mindset? I don't wear a mask when I'm out at 6 or 7 in the morning exercising. It's just me. Most people, I think, are used to getting up and going to work at that time. I always get up and go work out before I take my son to school or after. So that's how my day starts. And it pretty much ends that way because I stay in my workout clothes the rest of the day. But what do you think is going to be best for you, for your family, for your neighbor, and the community going forward? We saw China had masks on for months. It seemed like it was half a year that I kept seeing them in the airports and the stores and walking up and down the street that they had the mask on. So you'll have to make the decision. Any crowded places I'm going, I'm wearing a mask, a triple mask, and my N95. I am wearing my plastic gloves. And let's see, what else do I need? My mask, my plastic gloves. Guess that's it. So I do intend to do the best. You say I just do the best. I pray and wear a mask and watch. Right. So that's what I do. In crowded places, there's not enough information for me to feel confident to be in crowded places without a mask and without plastic gloves. It's not enough. I don't believe it's airborne in that right now my allergies are driving me crazy, but when I came out and looked at my car the other day, there was yellow stuff all over it. That's when something is airborne. Those are allergies. If you live in Atlanta and you hear this, give me a high five because I hear the allergies in Atlanta are crazy. But when something's airborne, you can see it. It lays on stuff. It lands on stuff because it's in the air. And if it were airborne, we would all just be dropping like flies. So I can't buy into that thought that it's airborne. But crowds, I've not been in a crowd. So I don't even know what people are arguing on Facebook about masks or no masks. You tell me you're going to go into a crowd of people who we don't know are positive or negative, and they can sneeze all around you and hug you and kiss you, and you're not going to wear a mask? Go right ahead. That's your personal choice. I am not choosing that for myself or my son or my family. I'm just not. And if I'm in a mask until now and the end of the year, that's fine with me, especially in crowds. We were sloppy before we were spreading the virus. I mean, when we were getting sick before, it was probably because we were in crowds and at the beach and in the clubs and at the movie theaters, and people were coughing on us and we didn't pay attention to it. But now that there's a possibility of something else being transmitted through that, yes, in a crowd. First of all, I'm going to try my best to stay out of crowds. And then second, if I'm in a crowd, oh yeah, I'm going to say, could you give me 10 feet? Because if you sneeze, I'm going to jump across the street and get out your way. And then could you please make sure you have on your mask and your gloves? So what's your mindset? You will have to decide for yourself, for your life, for your family, what you're going to do. It's amazing to me. Here's the question. When we've been trained so much to be divided as a people and as a country, how will we ever come together? How do we come together? There's 7 billion people on this planet, and everybody has 7 billion different ideas. And in that, you can break us down, and there's probably one group that has similar ideas and another group that has a few ideas. How do we bring this together to create a planet and a country that we all can live in? I mean, are we going to get stuck in this back and forth? No, wear the mask. No, don't wear the mask. No, do this. No, don't do that. Oh, no, they're doing, I mean, are we going to get back and forth, get caught in this back and forth, going on and on and on? We're the ones that have to make that decision because we're the ones that make up this country. America isn't some country that's just on its own. If you take the people out of this equation, there's just the planet. There's just the planet. And the planet is quite well equipped to take care of itself. We're the ones that's struggling. We don't like each other. We've been trained not to get along. We've been trained to look at the color of our skin more than anything else, not to mention looking at our hearts. We've been trained to see someone and jump and run and scream and be afraid of them. We've been trained all that. That's what the media has taught us all very well. And unfortunately, it's only focused on one or two race of people. So how do we move beyond that? How do we get beyond our own issues, our own fears? Oh my goodness, every black man in America is going to kill every white woman? Hell no. But that's what they'll tell them. Oh, every child that's running down the street with a hoodie is going to murder you, kill them. No, but that's what you believe. It's what are we going to do? We could believe differently. We could think differently. We could even, okay, maybe you can see me now. I'm not getting wet. We could even ask different questions if we chose to. What happened to asking questions instead of jumping to conclusions? What happened to inquiries instead of making judgments? Everybody everywhere is judging this and jumping to this conclusion. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. Oh my goodness, I can't imagine what God's going through. So when will we come together if we've been trained to be divided? Who's going to train us to come together? Everything on the television is to divide. It's either divide or spend. It's only got two missions on that TV. Divide or spend. So what are we in our own ingenuity, in our own integrity, in our own sense? I mean, God gave us all sense. We're all smart. We have some sense of ability. We can make decisions and choices. How do we come together? Do you even know your neighbors? I know Lisa on that side. I know Eric and his wife over there. I know this couple over here, although I don't know their name, but I know them. I know the father is a drummer. I know the mom, and I met her and her children. I know that family over there that's catty corner from me. I don't think you need to see the houses, right? I know that's a mom over there. I went over there and had to take her mail at some point. Let's see. For me to, and then when I took her over there, that house right there, I met her and her children. I met this woman because the alarm went off one day and the fire truck came. We all came out to see if they were okay. I have new neighbors over there that I've met since we did a car drive-by. I know that Crystal lives over there because we did a birthday drive-by. This new couple back here behind me, they moved in. They came and talked to me because they pulled their grass out and they wanted to know where it cuts, where our property line ends. Do you know your neighbors? Are you talking to your neighbors? Are you finding out what your neighbors' lives are all about? Do you know that? Oh, hold on a minute. Let me get us back to where we're supposed to be. Uh-oh. I don't know where I am now. There it is. And if you don't know your neighbors, how come? How come you're not reaching out beyond that invisible wall that America has created between us to say, hi, how are you? I'm such and such. This is my family. This is who we are. And we're here if you need us. That's what we do in this little circle right here on these four corners. We all have each other's phone numbers. We know generally what's happening in their families. We know when they leave out of town. We know when their houses are, hey, there's a hummingbird. Hey, sweetie pie. Oh my God, would you stay there so I can let everybody see you? Okay, I'm going to see. Oh God, I messed it up again. I keep doing it. Oh, okay. Now I got it. Okay, and now he's sitting still, but I don't know if you can see him. I know. But you know what? It's these beautiful things in life that make everything wonderful. In the meantime, so how do we begin to stand differently? How do we, where'd you go, hummingbird? He always shows up whenever I'm saying something that's on point. How do we begin to break down the walls that have been created for us? They've been created for us. People knew about black folks before they got here because America told everybody what they need to tell them about black folks. They've been believing the same thing since then. That's just the bottom line. People told people about the Native Americans, and everybody's been believing that about them since then. So if we don't step up and look at our own thinking, our own mindset. Hi, Kate. How are you today? Hi, Tamika. I saw that. Hi, Joma. Hi, Audrey. How are you? So if we don't begin to look at breaking down some of the divide that we have, how are we going to ever get anywhere? I mean, that's the part that just gets on my last nerves is how do we get to the next steps? I think of Michelle Obama in her the video Becoming, and she talks about how she's been at all the top tables and that they're not that smart. I'm like, well, if we're waiting on them and they're not that smart, then when are we going to get smarter? When are we going to get into small groups and start talking about positively how we're going to move forward? And everybody said we're going to pray. Okay, but pray without action ain't nothing. It's just like faith without action. We can pray all we want, but prayer does require that we take some kind of action. Sorry. Just want to make sure you can hear me. That we take some kind of action. We're not going to just pray and pray and pray and pray and bug God. God's already answered our questions and probably given us some solutions. When do we take the action? And what are we saying that action's going to be? So this is the time. Let's see, for me it was March 17th, so April 17th, May 17th, we're at 2 weeks and we're clearly heading to June 17th, if I understand it, 3 months. So this is a time where we have to dig in and decide how we're going to show up. Are you going to keep walking by people and not saying hello to them because what, you're afraid to say hello because they're a different color than you? You're going to keep ignoring people because what, they look different than you? Well, go right ahead. That's what America media wants you to do. Keep us divided and in fear and worry. And then what do? With the money you do have, you go spend, you go splurge, you drink. And America loves keeping us in that cycle, or keeping some of us in that cycle. I choose to step outside of America's cycle and live a different kind of life with different thoughts and different ideas. And I'm asking you now, don't wait on America. What are you going to do? How are you going to think? What's your mindset going to be going forward? How do you stand in the faith that you have? But it's not enough just to say, oh, I have faith, everything's going to work out. I have faith, God's going to move the mountains and the seas are going to part and everybody's going to get along. The action, unfortunately, if you don't realize it, is going to have to come from us. I mean, there's angels all around us all the time, and I'm quite clear that my godmother, my godfather, and all of my ancestors and everything are with me. But what actions are we going to take to move us toward where we say we want to go? And first of all, let's get clear on where do we say we want to go? Because some people say we're going this way, some people say we're going that way. Where do we want to go? So what's your mindset? Hashtag replay. Let me know where you are, what's happening in your state. How are you? I told you we'll be doing prayers. So if you want me to add you to our prayer list, hashtag on the replay, give me your name and your prayer. We'll add you there. I almost want to tell people stay off Facebook because off Facebook doesn't seem to jump to the biggest breaking news story and then analyze it and talk about it. But there's never any action in response to it. So before we can take action, we have to take a moment and just think. We have to take a moment and actually look and see what our thoughts are, what it is we really think and believe. Can white people, black people, brown people, yellow people, since they've labeled us all by colors, like we're some crayons in a crayon box, can human beings get along together even though we see things differently? And if we can, what does that look like? That's the question that's supposed to be on the table. How do we get along? How do we stop allowing the media to program our relationships with each other and choose to create our relationships with each other on our own? How do we honor and listen to the stories, listen to the trials, listen even to the triumphs of someone else, another culture, another person, forget their culture, and seem to be able to empathize with them and their life. Because when we all get together and we all look at it, it's really quite the same for all that America considers minorities. In America's eyes, unless we're doing something to support America, build some money and create some money, we don't matter. So it's upon us to decide that we're going to cross the line, that we're going to step over and say hi to someone. How are you? I'm such and such. Who are you? Now, we can't shake their hands now. We can't do anything but wave. But when are we going to cross the invisible barriers that have been set for us and stop agreeing with them and living by them and choose something different? Because that's when America gets to be truly great, as someone was saying some years ago. So you decide. I'm going to wear my mask anytime I'm in a crowd. I have hand sanitizer in every last one of my cars and in my purses. When I'm out by myself at 11 o'clock at night, I don't worry about a mask. If I'm out exercising at 6 and 7 in the morning, no, I don't worry about a mask. I will probably not be walking back into my gym for some time. There's too many people in a closed space. I just don't want to be with a lot of people in a closed space until we get some I don't know what, some regularity in how we're going to proceed out of what we've gotten ourselves into. So that's my standard. I'm not going to even have a conversation. If people don't wear their masks, I've asked people, be curious. I've said to a person, I was walking, and she and I ended up being walking partners. And I said, excuse me, how come you don't have on your mask? And she said, well, I have asthma. And when I wear this mask, this happens and that happens. And it almost triggers my asthma. And I'd rather just not have to deal with that and anything else. If you don't know why they're not wearing their mask, just be gentle and ask. People have their reasons. Everybody's not being defiant. I just wanted to know what her reason was. And I said, okay. So I kept my mask on because she didn't have hers on because of her having asthma. But when she's not around or I'm not walking with her, then I just don't wear my mask. But when are we going to be willing to ask more questions instead of jump to conclusions? And that's what America wants. America wants you to fall in line with everything they've said and believe everything they've said, so it keeps all of us divided. And here's the thing. When we're divided, then we don't vote. When we're divided, we don't win what we say we want because we don't realize that our division is what's actually keeping us from reaching our goals. America wants us not talking to each other. America wants us looking at each other and getting away and say, oh my God, get away from me. It just isolates us more. Don't think anything happens by accident when America's involved in it. And I'm talking about the government, of course, when I say America, in case you're not sure. So we get to break it down. And the only thing is, I don't know if we're more in fear of wearing or not wearing masks or more in fear of telling the truth and talking to each other. I'm just not sure anymore. That we have gotten so afraid of each other based on the news and based on looking at TV and based on all the sitcoms that show you all the different things that we'll be willing to walk across the street to say hello. And see, here's the thing. I know the answer to that is yes, but it only shows up when we're in emergency. States been drowning and people stop their cars. How many times have people been in floods in Louisiana and all over the United States, and everybody, every color jumps in to help? That's the truth of who we are. But we only get there when we're in an emergency and when it's urgent. How do we get there on a day-to-day basis? That's the question that I have for you. Have a great day today. Set your mindset on, you tell me what you set your mindset on. I'm standing in faith. I got my feet anchored all the way down through this ground into the middle of Mother Earth, so I'm anchored by her. She's holding me up strong. I have my anchor in possibility, that as we look deeper, we'll see what's being done and happening and how the wool's being pulled over our eyes, so to speak, and how we get to take those blinders off and make some different choices. I'm going to stand in clarity. I think the rain came, at least in California, for a reason, to cool things down, to calm us down, to hopefully get us centered again. I'm going to stand in strategic action. It has to be strategic action and community involvement that's going to move us closer to each other. Because right now, the epidemic is moving us further away. And that's not okay. That can't happen unless we agree to it. There she goes. Yeah, she walks. She has to take her dog walking. We walk 4 miles up a hill sometimes on 3 or 4 times a week. But she doesn't, and I ask her. And so I'm not going to be mad at someone for not wearing their mask if I'm not bold enough to say, excuse me, how come you're not wearing your mask? Now, some people say I don't want to, and I'm like, that's fine, because we get to make those choices. But there are other people who have other reasons, and I'd like to know those reasons too. So you decide. You set your mindset for today. Well, let me say, set it for the whole week, and then each day we'll build on it and build on it and build on it based on what else we hear. In California, we're hoping our numbers stabilize, because if our numbers stabilize and we don't all run out to go see each other and be in the clubs and party and drink together, it's funny, then we may see some progress. But we're the ones that have to make the choice. Can't leave all this stuff up to the government if you honestly think they cared. You can't leave it up to something outside of you. You have to be willing to dig inside of yourself. Even if it means that maybe you give $2 to a campaign or $1 here. Maybe you can't be out in the public, but there are different things that you can do. You can write to senators. You can write to assemblymen. You can write to people and make your voice be heard. There are still things that you can do if you're concerned about jeopardizing your job or jeopardizing something like that. In the meantime, though, take good care of you. Take great care of your heart. Because, you know, in the end, the only person responsible for you being here on the planet in the first place is God. And as long as God wants you here and God wants you here healthy, you're going to be here and you're going to be healthy. And you're going to be supplied and taken care of, because we still live in an abundant, prosperous universe, and it ain't running short of anything. It's got plenty of love and joy and faith and happiness and understanding and compassion for us. It doesn't run short. It doesn't run out of ventilators like we do here. It gives us everything we need. So spend your time in prayer. And when you get out of prayer, right before you get out of prayer, ask for the next action you need to take. And if you're not praying an affirmative prayer, then I'm going to invite you to join us for our prosperity prayer we're going to have later on in a couple of weeks, because you want to make sure your prayer is an affirming prayer. That everything's perfect, everything's unfolding in God's divine order. We don't need to go to God begging and pleading for the same thing. You didn't ask that prayer already. Now look for the answer to the prayer. Go to that prayer knowing that there's a loving God who's taking care of us, that's breathing your breath and beating our heart. Go to that prayer knowing that there's plenty of solutions. There's plenty of options. We just can't see them. So ask God to reveal them. Go into that prayer asking for the things that we need and knowing that they're going to come and that we're going to be looking for them. And then we're going to be ready to take action on them as well. Okay. Take good care. Have a great day. I need to go in and get dry, and I got some business to take care of. A couple of calls to see, several coaches to meet with, several clients. Take good care of you. Take good care of your family. You make the choices that's best for you to keep you and yours safe. Have a good day.